What's up, everybody? Tom Pelissero here on day 2 of the Senior Bowl. I'm at the hotel. It took me 10 minutes of walking around to figure out a place to do this because everywhere throughout the Renaissance here, every corner you turn, there's a scout or a coach interviewing somebody. I was downstairs. There's one guy getting interviewed in the ATM booth. There's another guy getting interviewed on the shoe shine stand. Every corner, tables in the hotel bar, everywhere you've got these conversations going on. Everybody trying to get a lot of work because a lot of people end up leaving town Wednesday night or else at the latest on Thursday night. Not a whole lot of people stick around for the game because you have no padded practice on Friday, and there'd be a lot of time waiting. Plus, you can get the all-22 tape from Saturday's game and evaluate off of that. So a lot of people trying to do work. The Vikings were spending 4 hours tonight trying to interview about 45 players, mostly from the South team. They spent yesterday interviewing most of the guys from the North team. They'll do some cleanup tomorrow before all their scouts leave. Interesting window into the Vikings pre-draft process tonight. Rick Spielman letting 4 of us reporters sit in on one interview. It was a kid named Josh Harris, long snapper out of Auburn, about the most squeaky clean kid possible, and that was by design. Spielman didn't want to have somebody who he actually had any sorts of character questions about. But nonetheless, it was interesting just to see the interaction and being in that room, because at the time we were in there, there's about 10 tables set up around a room. You had Joe Woods putting a defensive back through stuff on the whiteboard. You had conversations going on at the linebacker table, another one at the special teams table. All over the room, different guys just kind of shuffling in and out, being asked different sorts of questions. Rick Spielman generally sits in on each one along with what they do as a position coach as well as the cross-checker. Spielman actually goes through the track record of scouts based on their areas, sees which positions they do better on, and then assigns them to cross-check those at the Senior Bowl and at the Combine and wherever else. So if you're the scout who's hit on the most receivers, you're going to sit in with the receiver group with the receiver coaches when they're interviewing wide receivers down here. So they'll knock out about 100 guys here. That'll save them in some cases, if they don't have further questions, on having to re-interview those guys again at the Combine. And then there's other guys who might raise some red flags here that then they can do a little more research on, and if necessary, interview them again down at the scouting combine, where they only get 60 formal interviews but as many informal interviews as they want. 2 days of practice in the books here. I'll give a few takes, and I don't present myself as a scout, but the guys who clearly flashed based on everybody I've talked to, listening to scouts because they are around and they do talk, even if you happen to be standing here sitting right behind them. 5 guys that jumped out to me today and really over the past 2 days. Number 1, Mike Martin, defensive tackle from Michigan. Really showed a lot in the pass rush, going against a guy he went against a lot, the center from Ohio State, in drills. He's just built really thickly, can play with power, can play with a little bit of quickness too. I think he's the guy who's probably helped himself down here. Marvin McNutt, receiver from Iowa. Now, he's not the most sudden guy, but he's big enough, physical enough, and he caught some balls down here, made a couple of tough catches. He's somebody I want to really see if he's going to hold on to the ball throughout the week, because that's one of the things that was a knock on him with the Hawkeyes. Did have one drop on a deep ball today, but certainly that big sort of physical receiver, but not a possession guy. He's a guy who can do a little bit of damage down the field, somebody interested to keep an eye on. Both those guys are on the North. On the South team, Baylor guard Philip Blake, really stout in the one-on-one pass rushing drills that I watched today. Wasn't giving up any sort of penetration to the nose tackles and defensive tackles who were being put against him. Certainly the Vikings probably aren't in the market for an interior guy. They're probably going to look at tackle. But I could see them using a mid to late round pick on a guard, so you're going to want to keep an eye on the entire offensive line group. UNCN Quentin Coples, again, a position the Vikings are not going to be in the market for, but he packs a lot of pass rush. And then the last guy, and somebody to definitely keep an eye on for the Vikings, Dwight Bill Bentley, University of Louisiana Lafayette cornerback, kept driving on the football today, looked really comfortable in coverage. He was playing opposite Janoris Jenkins, the former Florida guy, got kicked out of there, ended up at North Alabama, and a lot of focus has been on him. But the guy who stood out today actually was Bentley. Seems to have a lot of good ball skills. Basically, he played a lot of zone with the Ragin' Cajuns, which would bode well. They had some cover 2 concepts in. He's played sides a lot like what the Vikings do. Definitely keep an eye on him. You look at his size and you look at the level of competition, not playing in one of the power conferences, so to speak, but certainly has shown up down here, and a guy who, again, may have helped his stock. I'll be at one more day of practice tomorrow. They do wrap up practice again on Thursday, and then the game is on Saturday. Full Vikings coverage, including a lot more stuff. I just dropped my pen from Leslie Frazier, Rick Spielman, and others, is right now at 1500ESPN.com. See ya.